afternoon, good evening, good night, and it's your Olena here again to bring you the new episode of Overwatch Season 2. Well, Happy New Year, first of all, and I haven't done anything over the past month, because, it's final month and I was studying, and yeah, all these and that happened. But anyway, we're back. And what I played in the first 10 seconds was a very famous, or I should say infamous, tenor, Chinese tenor, Lijian, singing La Donna Immobile in Verdi's Rigoletto, which we'll talk about today. Well, yeah, I'll put the link of his version in the description. Okay. First of all, just to summarize, Matt Opera's Rigoletto this season is just average out of average out of average. There's nothing that is out of my expectation, but because my expectation was already at the average level, well, how many times am I going to repeat the word average this time? I don't know, but yeah, sure, let's dive in, I guess. So before the opera started, right? I was looking at the playbill, of course, and I that kind of surprised me because I see there's actually one section that is like an interview with the stage director, right? It's like talking about the stage design, and they actually mentions the use of projectors. Well, I mean, projectors and rotating stage are the two most repetitive elements that I keep mentioning in my podcast. And you know how much I want them to bring something new on the stage. But this time they use the rotating stage again, of course. So let's start with talking about what Rigoletto is first. So basically, of course, it's one of Verdi's most famous operas, and for a good reason because it's dramatic, intense, and filled with music and sticks with you long after you you finish listening to this opera. And premiered in 1851, is based on Victor Hugo's play Le Roi Samuel, and was groundbreaking for its time because the story is all about power, revenge, and the complicated mass of human emotions. So basically, set in Renaissance Mantua, it follows a court jester in his tragic entanglement with the corrupt Duke of Mantua, and honestly, is just as relevant today as it was back then. Plus, the music was iconic. So basically, think about the Calanova, which is in Act 1 when the daughter was like, ah, I love you so much, and La Donna Immobile, which I just played. So you probably heard, even if you didn't realize when you watch the opera. So basically, the plot centers on Rigoletto, a hunchback jester who works for the Duke of Mantua, which is a guy who is pretty charming and hold power and got a lot of money, but a completely total player. So Rigoletto spent his time mocking the courtiers and helped the Duke with his questionable pursuits. But like he even though he assists him with all these matters, he still has a soft side, which is his daughter Gilda, who he keeps hidden from this world. And things take a dark turn when Gilda falls for the Duke, now realizing he's kind of the worst. So Rigoletto attempts to protect her and get revenge spirals into tragedy that you can see coming, but steal his heart. So the story is basically all about the things, the moral values, love, power, and how things can get horribly wrong when you try to control everything. So that was kind of hard. Okay, so this time is a different setting the Matt is playing. So is Berlitzer's Rigoletto is set in Weimar's Republic year Germany, which I'll admit adds a little bit intriguing historical layer to the story. So the visual centerpiece of this production is Michael Jurgen's rotating set, which supposed to make the scene transition seamless and some cinematic. However, we really feel like visual overload. So basically, the second scene in particular was where I really started to feel dizziness. Because the constant spinning was just not really saying unnecessary, but it just feels too fast, and too repetitive at the same time. It actively took me out of the emotional core of the story, but instead being immersed in Rigoletto's pain or Gilda's innocence, I was busy trying to focus on the performance while the stage turns like a, well, what's a good way of describing it? You know, like, have you ever seen the roasted chickens in Costco? Is like spinning all the time. Yeah, that's it. So critics online have been echoing the sentiment. Some have pointed out that while rotating stage is a bold choice, it often overshadows the performance, especially in moments where subtle and stillness would actually be more powerful. So when people even joke about the stage feel like it was auditioning for a role of its own. So it just moves that much. But besides that, is also the sense of repetition that I mentioned just one or two minutes earlier. So the single rotating cube is used throughout the whole opera, and well, is a clever way of trying to save money, of course, because you're getting less and less government funds while trying to capture more audience. So you must save some money somewhere. But I mean, it still ends up kind of being boring. By the time the opera reached its tragical conclusion, the stage spinning has lost any novelty it might be had at the start. Right. So, okay, the next thing I want to talk about is definitely the conductor, which is an Italian guy, Danilo Caligalli. Wait, how do you pronounce it? Caligalli. Yeah, yeah. Moving on to the music. So, he is the conductor of this production, and to be honest, I just have that average expectation out of him, so I just got what I was expecting. You know, Verdi is an Italian, and Caligalli is also an Italian, so basically you can sense that shared Italian vibe from it. It's like those kind of like casual, but not that casual classic vibe, if you know what I'm talking about. It's like casual while being pretty dramatic and rich, and a little bit of irony there. So that said, while his interpretation had its moment, it didn't quite evaluate the production as a whole because the orchestra played pretty well under his baton. Because Met Opera's orchestra is actually one of the greatest orchestra in New York, at least. I feel like it's even way more better than your Philharmonic. But like, there wasn't anything that made me really surprised, right? It's a good solid conducting, but it probably needs more emotion than it is right now because he's still carrying that casual vibe. So I think the music can be more of a driving force than what it is right now. But still, it was pretty fine because it's pretty average. I mean, it's not like it's completely intolerable, but it's like you can expect better. He can do better, but I think they should rehearse more, or at least he should carry and point out something that the orchestra can do. For example, they should definitely make more emphasis on the orchestra's performance because I think the orchestra is sounds a little bit weak compared to the singers because opera is supposed to be a combination of the singers and the orchestra, right? So let's now go into the cast slash the singers. So the real heart of any opera, Luca Sozzi, took on the title role of Rigoletto, and I have to say he was one of the strongest aspects of the production. His portrayal of the tormented jester was nuanced and heartfelt. Vocally, he was pretty powerful, and his acting brought depth to Rigoletto's internal struggles. I mean, like compared to some of the singers, his acting skill is actually pretty fine. And yeah, as for Gilda, I have to confess something. So if I don't go to Rigoletto, if I don't procrastinate and go to Rigoletto in January, I could potentially have Nadia Sierra, which I missed last season, to play as Gilda. But however, I got Erin Morley as Gilda, but she is still pretty fine because she brought her own unique touch to Gilda. So her play of Kalonome was technically flawless, with a delicate, crystalline quality to her voice that captured Gilda's innocence and vulnerability. So, and then there's the Duke of Mantua, played by Penapati, who was making his Met debut. So, let me just say, he got a charisma for days. His performance of La Donna e Mobile was a full swagger and charm, and his music with useful clarity, and that actually suit Duke's carefree, and which means that he will not be bound by any woman, and he's just a playboy, I guess. Put it in good words. So one thing that stood out to me was the chemistry, or lack of therefore, between some of the characters. While Luca Silsi and Erin Morley were both strong individually, their interaction didn't quite have the emotional renaissance you'd hope in a father-daughter duel at the heart of the story. And similarly, the dynamic between Gilda and the Duke feel a little bit underdeveloped because is what the Met was presenting is more like an underage minor girl was like getting harassed by this like 40 years old man, That doesn't seem nice. I mean, like we're in 21st century. Because like yeah, it doesn't present that Duke cares that much about Gilda, but rather Gilda was like presenting her innocence for the whole time. I mean, that's what we want, but like there should be more chemicals as Duke is actually a playboy, so he should actually do more, both emotionally and physically, to show his riz. I mean, yeah. So, but anyway, my overall take for this opera is nothing that's out of my expectations, since I already have a like median expectation, or like it's not like I am expecting much from the Met, but like yeah, it basically satisfied all of my expectations. The singers sings in tone and correctly, and their pronunciation is pretty fine, and yeah, the conductor is not that bad, and he does bring that Italian vibe. Just there are something that he can make it better, but still, it was pretty good. So the only thing I'm probably dissatisfied with is the rotating stage, but considering the fact and the money shortage that the Met is obviously endorsing, I think it was pretty fine. Because there are worse productions that actually cost more money, and what it presents is most likely 80% the best they can do, right? So, yeah. So I think there's one more performance, so if you want to watch, you can go watch it, and yeah, that's it. So that's it for this episode. So next opera I'll probably go is Aida, which is Matt's new production, which I'll expect that is actually more than Carmen, but apparently a lot of the people I know, they have some attitude towards the opera. So I'm actually pretty interested in seeing it, because the more people fires on it, the more interesting the situation gets, and you as someone who actually pays to see it gets more interesting because you are not only getting what the stage is presenting to you, but you're also getting all those online fights. Well, so as always, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I mean, I don't really have much time writing the script because I have finals going on, but like, yeah, thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, comments, or opinions on what I said, or just want to talk to me, you can email me at aulindatang@gmail.com. It is AULINDATANG@gmail.com. See you in my next episode. Yay! And let me just also show you a little bit more of Lijian Ling's La Donna e Move. Wow, is that a double high C? I don't know, but personally, I can't sing that good. And thank you so much for listening. See you in my next episode. Well, it's already 16 minutes. Wow, this episode is getting pretty long. Bye!